constitutional silver, 90%, either 90% or 40% halves, or even like 35% nickels, because I I have never seen a fake one personally.
Hello and welcome. Today I'm honored to have Gigi Bullion here with me to discuss US coins that are dated 1964 or earlier. These coins are often called constitutional silver and are sometimes called junk silver. And we will learn about Gigi Bullion as well in the video today. Gigi Bullion, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. How's it going?
It's going great. Yeah, I really appreciate you being here today to discuss constitutional silver with our viewers. And so let me start out by asking you, how long have you been stacking for?
I have been stacking, excuse me. I've been stacking since 20, I should say I've been stacking seriously since 2015. Prior to that, I had bought and sold silver, but not, I don't know, my mindset, I would say, would not be a stacker's mindset. It was, because when I was a kid, I would get, American Silver Eagles from like my grandmother as like whatever gifts, stuff like that. So I wasn't new to the concept, but I would say I actually, started stacking as I would define stacking in like 2015.
Okay, great. So sounds like you do have a longer amount of experience with the silver coins. You've been heavy in it for about 8 years. And what a great gift or gifts for your grandmother to give to you.
Yes, yes, very much so. She my grandmother lived to quite an old age, but she was born in about 1923. So over the course of her lifetime, I guess I'll put it this way. She didn't have a high opinion of banks nor politicians. So I'm sure, some of that got passed on to me as well.
Oh, that's great. You know, what's interesting is similarly, one of my grandmothers was really into a group called CATS, Citizens Against Toxic Substances. And I would listen to her talk about, the EPA and these different government agencies. And so at an early age, also because of my grandmother, I kind of learned to sometimes question the information that might be coming from the authorities.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I definitely think that was instilled in me at a pretty young age from family.
Well, yeah, it's
For
great when
sure.
older relatives can give their younger relatives uh, heads up about these kind of things. Um, yeah, although I never was gifted silver coins by older relatives, that's really great that she would do that.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And I have a lot of young cousins that are like, I think they're all under 10. Um, or my cousins' kids. I don't know. I don't know what the actual term for that would be, but I guess yeah, cousins. And I, try to give them silver, every Christmas. Well, I give their parents silver. The parents hold on to it, that kind of thing. They see it. The older kids, uh, are old enough now that they're starting to ask questions of how much is this worth, blah blah blah, that kind of stuff. So that's nice to, I guess, continue that. Um, so that's something I do, but my cousins keep having more and more kids, so it's becoming very expensive for me. But
Well, good for you for giving them silver. That's the
oh
way to
yeah,
do it. Get the next generation interested. So I wanted to ask you, how long have you been pouring for, and what got you into pouring silver?
so I have been pouring for mm, God, not really that long. A year and a half, maybe, if that. Um, yeah, no, maybe a year and a half, something like that. So that started with me and my buddy Dave, who we kind of started GG Bullion. We were really close friends, you know. We would hang out, talk about silver and other things, and I had kind of thought of making my own silver bars or doing hand pours for a while. I think that thought entered my head not, not probably within 2 years of me starting to seriously get into stacking. I think that thought entered my head. I just never really did it. So it kind of just started with he and I talking about it and being like, oh yeah, we should do that. That would be cool to do, and then we could sell it. Um, and both of our last names started with G, so that's the name GG Bullion.
Oh, I
Like,
see.
yeah, it's that simple. And then it's also GG, so it's classic, works out. Um, so we talked about that for however long, and then it's like, we would just be sitting talking. It's like, all right, well, what should our like logo be? Oh, it should be like a dog, and we kind of just brainstorm very basic stuff. And
I
then
like the Bulldog logo. I think it's really cool.
thank you. Yeah, that was something we both like kind of came up with separately and then talked about it. And was like, oh yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing somehow. Um, but yeah, we kind of just talked about that, and then it was a matter of like learning how to do it, which it's not that difficult. Started off with like ceramic and torch pouring, and then got a furnace, all of that stuff. And because at that time when we started doing that, he actually worked at I guess, kind of like an LCS, more of a metals dealer, but basically a local coin shop.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
so we were able to source some stuff, actually the first couple things we made because we didn't have the kind of volume to send to a actual assayer. We could get it tested, but as far as like, okay, we want an actual assay done. Um, we were kind of able to use that connection to make sure like, okay, everything's good. Um, we're ready to sell, bought a bunch of stuff to burnish the stuff after it's done, stamp it, got a custom stamp made, all of that. And yeah, got better at it over time, which really happened very quickly. The mistakes within this, you learn pretty quick. There's not too many mistakes you can make, aside from safety ones. uh, but yeah, so we just did that and kind of started making bars, made the Twitter account, made the YouTube account, which I haven't posted anything on until a couple months ago.
Well, the
Uh,
stuff you've been posting looks good. I really like the pouring videos. So I
thank you.
recommend everybody check them out.
Yeah, if anybody is curious, it's as I think all of the social medias are, except Instagram. It's GG Bullion on YouTube. GG space Bullion. But yeah, I like the pouring videos. I need to make more of them. And last time, we've done so many pours, and I, I don't know why I didn't record more. I didn't have a tripod for the longest time. Sorry if I'm like going off on a tangent here about a tripod.
Oh yeah, it's no sweat.
but now that I have a tripod, it's nice. Now, unfortunately, as I was kind of telling you in the prior to us starting the call, I guess, um, Dave passed away about 7 or 8 months ago. So it's kind of just been me doing this since then. So that sucks.
Yeah, I'm
But
really sorry to hear about that, and way to stick with it.
yeah, I appreciate that. Um,
You bet.
but yeah, so it's something that I enjoy doing a lot. I mean, the I remember the first silver bar that he and I poured, and that was before having a forge or anything like that, just with a little ceramic crucibles and stuff, making a little 5 gram bar, which I still have around somewhere. Um, yeah, I was so happy because I have been obsessed with silver, and gold and platinum, but the silver is my main thing. I've been obsessed with silver for so long. It's like, wow, I'm making my own investment grade bars. Like, this is great.
No,
Um,
that's really cool. That's got to be a good feeling.
oh yeah, it really is. I would say like, because people online have kind of asked me. I have got people like on Twitter that are like, "Hey, like I kind of want to start pouring, like just do it. Like if you want to, like if you're the kind of person that you even have that thought enter your head, you'll enjoy it. Just be safe. Don't get second degree burns. Definitely don't get first degree burns. You're definitely gonna probably get first or yeah, first degree burns a little bit, but I one time, luckily this happened early on. I got second degree burns on my hand. It was not fun. Uh, but now I always triple check all my personal safety equipment, PPE. Uh, but yeah,
So yeah, that's some good feedback, guys. If it's something that you're interested in doing, just go ahead and dive in. It sounds like is the best way to go about it, and just be careful not to burn yourself by accident.
yes, yeah, and there is a pretty, I wouldn't say a large community of people that do hand pours, but more than one would think, I guess. And from my experience going into it, people are more than willing to help with any questions somebody may have about what good ways to do or what the best way to do things are or what works for them, whatever. There's a lot of good feedback out there on, Twitter, Reddit, places like that.
Oh, that's great. Again, it makes sense that they'd be friendly. I know that there's a lot of friendly people in the stacking community. So a few years ago, the premiums were lower on 90%, pre-COVID. Today, a lot of times they're selling for about $20 per face value, sometimes higher. When you think back in time, what were the premiums like on these coins in the past?
So, um, I remember when you know, the first couple years I was stacking, especially, because I kind of got into stacking through this guy I worked with, which his stack was, I would say, a good 90% of his stack was like constitutional silver. Um, and he kind of was like, "Hey, do you invest in silver? Basically, do you have silver coins?" I was like, "Oh, not really, a little bit." Um, I ended up getting into it. Um, I was more drawn to the bullion at first, which I wish I had stacked up harder on 90% stuff back then, because I do remember, which this is definitely not the case now. For at least for online dealers, some of the local coin shops in the Detroit metro area, I pretty good relations with some of them, so I can get some pretty good deals on it. But I remember back then in 2015, 16, 17, 2018. Yeah, so I guess like pre-COVID times, you could get, 1 ounce of silver content. So that'd be like $1.40 face value for less than, less than, less total cost than a 1 ounce generic round or a 1 ounce generic bullion bar. So yeah, premiums have gone up quite a bit that I've seen.
Yeah, I mean, they really have. And, similar to the gentleman that you were talking about, when I first started out, almost everything I bought was constitutional silver. And
Mhm.
back then, the premiums were much lower. I mean, I remember getting a lot of them for like spot or slightly above spot. And it was almost a different animal 20 years ago. I'm a little senior to you
Mhm.
compared to now, but I do still think there's still a lot of value in these coins.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, I have been, initially when I first started stacking, I would say the first 2 or 3 years, um, I didn't, I would get, I go to a coin shop, I'd buy some bars or rounds, coins, bullion, and I'd pick up, $1 face value of dimes or whatnot. So it'd be like just a little bit there, and it would add up. But I really wish I did go more in back then, because I remember some of the coin shops. I, Part of me feels like I'm misremembering this, but I swear, like, for like the silver content, I it was like under spot. You were able to get some of that stuff if they were in like call condition. Um, like, it was just very cheap. And now I would say, yeah, 20 times face sounds about right. I think last time I went to one of the LCS around here, 21 times face. So that seems about right for right now.
Yeah, and I mean, I've even seen some of the online dealers with it a little higher than that. Um, it's really interesting. It has changed. Um, and a lot of people here in the US consider these coins to be easily recognizable and highly liquid. I mean, would you agree with that idea?
Yes, absolutely. I definitely know there are some people. Well, I'm trying to think of the best way to phrase this. There are some people that just prefer to have bullion. Like, if they're spending, if they're trading in their dollars for silver, they want bars, they want rounds, they want coins, bullion coins. Um, but all of those people know that that is a thing, and pretty much anyone like that's something I've noticed about, especially the 90%, 1964 and prior dimes, quarters, and half dollars. There are people that I wouldn't call stackers that I know of, or that I have met, that don't really stack silver, but they know about it. People that may have worked or work as cashiers, and they're it's not often you find stuff like that, because most of it's been picked out of circulation. But even people that don't stack, there's a certain amount of them that know about it.
I agree.
Actually, recently, this guy I used to work with, I I don't know what he's doing now, but he actually, texted me and was like, "Hey, I think he was working as a cashier or something like that." Uh, and somebody came in and paid for part of their money, or paid for food or whatever, and paid with a roll of 1964 quarters that are 90% silver.
Oh, no
And they
way.
he was seeing if I wanted to buy some, which I did end up getting some because the price was very good that he was offering me. But so there's people that, and like, he's not a silver stacker, but he knows it's silver and that it's worth money. So I'd say almost to some extent, it's just more, at least in the US, I would say it's more recognizable to the average person, I guess.
I completely agree. Um, I do think that they are highly liquid as well. Also, there's a decent amount of fake 1 ounce coins and rounds out there. It I have a video on my channel if people want to check it out on how to find fakes. And you can see a fake maple leaf in that video, a fake Aztec calendar round. There's been a lot of fake eagles floating around. So people,
Mm-hmm.
please be really cautious, especially if you're looking at eBay and it's a seller, let's say out of China, and the price for that eagle seems particularly low. I mean, I'm giving it a 90% chance that's a fake eagle. If you see a seller like that, they have like five reviews, and the eagle is $2 less than anything you can find in the states. It would be a safe bet that is a fake coin. With junk silver, though, on the other hand, it is highly unlikely to be faked. And like you said, it's highly recognizable. I think it's actually pretty widespread outside of the stacking community. A big chunk of the US population is aware that the coinage from 1964 and earlier had silver in it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, any stacker or coin shop is going to know exactly what these are when they see them.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That they're, I don't worry about it because I know what to look for. And personally, I do not use eBay to buy silver, but um, actually, just an anecdote that I thought of while we were, talking, telling people to be careful about that. A guy I know that, I'd say he got into stacking maybe a year ago, maybe a little less. Um, he was, he showed me like an eBay listing, and he was like, "Hey, it was for American Silver Eagles. I don't remember what the actual price was or what market price was at the time, but it was definitely like a this seems way too good to be true type deal." So I told
Right.
him like that there's no way. Like I would pretty much bet you an ounce of silver that that is fake. And he basically agreed with me, but I guess this guy has a bunch of money or whatever. Anyway, so he was like, "Well, I'm going to buy it just to see. I'm curious if it's fake or not." And of course, it was fake.
Oh man, well, good looking out. That was good. You tried to warn him, and
Yeah,
and you called it too.
yeah. Which, yeah, if for anyone out there that if they, because once you handle silver enough, you can kind of just tell by the sound. There's the verification apps for popular bullion coins, all sorts of different tests you can do. Whether you have a Sigma machine or an XRF if you have $50,000 to spare, um, or there's a lot of tests you can do, but
Yes.
if you know what you're doing, you can pretty much figure it out. And if it's too good to be true, it's probably not real type thing. Typically holds. But for anybody that's getting into stacking that is concerned about that at all, I would probably steer them to constitutional silver 90%, either 90% or 40% halves, or even like 35% nickels, because i I have never seen a fake one personally. um
Me neither. I've not come across one fake one, and quite a few of these coins have passed through my hands at this point. And
yeah.
I think that's a really good thing for folks to remember. If it seems too good to be true, it's probably a fake.
Yep.
So, out of all the different constitutional junk silver coins, which one is your favorite if you had to pick one?
Okay. My brain immediately went to mercury dimes and Franklin half dollars. I would say the Franklin halves, and then the Walking Liberty halves, dimes and halves in general. I'm not a huge quarter guy, for whatever reason. I do have some, but I would say the vast majority of the 90% silver I have is dimes and halves, mostly Franklin halves and Mercury dimes. I don't know why exactly. I think part of it is, aside from Morgans and Peace dollars, that's like the high end and the low end, where quarters are kind of in the middle, as far as weight goes. Um, and I do like the older designs because they are immediately, no one has to even think about it. It's not like, like the silver Washington quarters. You can still tell they're silver, but maybe not from a photograph. You know what I mean? Like the design is still the
That
same.
that's a good point because they look like a lot of more modern quarters that are not silver. There can be some confusion in that, and I think that's a really strong point in regards to the Mercury dimes because they were only minted in 90% silver. As soon as people see the Mercury dimes, they're going to know those are 90% silver and they're going to have a huge amount of trust in them. Now the Roosevelt dimes, they might not be quite as worn out, but they look like modern dimes that don't have any silver in it. So
Mhm.
for like smoother transactions, the ones that were only minted in silver are gonna, give people a lot of confidence. If you ever are exchanging these for goods or services, outside of a typical scenario.
Yeah. Yeah, even myself, if it's not if it's at one of my coin shops I go to, then I know they're good. I don't really question it beyond reason. But yeah, I know for myself, if somebody's got Mercury dimes, or they have Franklin halves, or older stuff, barber quarters, anything like that, I see it and it's like, okay, that's silver. I don't have to think twice about it really. Whereas if it's like Washington quarters, it's like, okay, I'm gonna make sure to like really look at this and make sure it's silver. So I would say they're more liquid in that respect.
I agree. And for all the points that you had stated, I really do kind of prefer the Franklin half dollars, sometimes called Benjis. These were minted from 1948 to 1963. These do have the Liberty Bell on the back, which rang in 1776 to celebrate the first reading of the Declaration of Independence. Because these were only minted in 90% silver, they do offer that confidence that it's definitely the real deal. And also because they quit minting these in 1963, a lot of these really aren't very worn out, which is something that can have an effect on the value. So
Mm.
because of that, the Benjis really are my top pick in regards to constitutional silver.
Yeah, yeah, I like the Franklins, and I like really all of the older stuff. And then I know there's a discussion, and I don't know, in your experience, how that's been, because I know a lot of people, as far as the cleaning coins argument, where a lot of people will be like, oh, don't clean your old coins. So for stuff like, barber stuff, right? Really old stuff. I would say like no, but I'm curious to ask you, like, have you ever noticed like an actual difference in that? Like somebody will only buy old coins that look old. Like if somebody cleans them, they don't want them, because I've heard that a lot online, but I've never once actually experienced that in real life. I'm just curious.
Yeah, that's a really good thing to bring up. And no, I haven't. And that is something that I hear people talk about online. Now, something that I think is really important for folks to consider in regards to the cleaned coins and the 90% silver, with some of these coins, it's not toning, it's grime.
Yes.
So like you know, the thing is if you have a grimy old coin, that's not the same as like a modern coin around that was never really in circulation and starts to get toning on it. Um, if you have a really old one, and it's kind of worn out, I wouldn't clean it. The grime on there and possibly some toning is going to help to make it more easily identifiable if it's starting to get kind of flattened out, just because it's going to add some depth to what you're looking at, so some more three-dimensional qualities. But
Yeah.
in regards to cleaning the coins, if it's a particularly grimy old coin, I actually think it's less likely that people will want to sell or want to buy that. I
Mm.
sell on eBay from time to time. And you guys, if you ever do want to get the most bang for your buck when you're reselling your constitutional silver, if you start a little eBay account and you already have some feedback built up, it really helps to move those coins along. But if you just throw a really grimy old piece of constitutional silver on there, people don't want that. As odd as it sounds, it's the opposite of what they say.
Yeah, no, that's interesting that you say that, because I know which, really the only times I've ever sold any of my 90% or, like war nickels for that matter, or any of that stuff. If I want somebody to buy it, I'm gonna pick through and get ones that are not black from sitting in a gutter for 50 years, you know?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I have a tube of 35% war nickels, that I did a video like a week ago about the silver content in those, and that particular like roll or tube or whatever was so disgusting. I think I'm gonna run that through
There's a
a
bunch
road.
of dirty ones right there. That's
Oh
exactly
yeah,
what he's talking about, folks. There are some
yeah,
dirty 35% war nickels for you to check out.
yeah. As right after I got done filming that, I was like, I gotta like put all these through a rotary tumbler or something. These are disgusting. That water's gonna be just black afterwards. They're gonna look way nicer. So yeah, I guess I kind of concur with that on like the really old stuff. I do like on like the really old coins how, like you said, it gives depth. It's almost like a shading effect in painting, I suppose. Um, so I like that. But as far as like if it's just straight up dirty, um, I don't necessarily want to touch it if it's too bad.
No, right. I mean, because you just figure a bunch of people, when they're dirty fingers, kind of like if you ever see a door handle at a really busy building that hasn't been cleaned for years and there's that big layer of grime on it. So some of these old constitutional silver coins, they have a thick layer of grime on them. It's not toning in some cases. And I think somehow people kind of can recognize that when they're looking at it, even in a photo, like, oh, that looks like a grimy old coin. I think I'll buy the different coin. It doesn't look like it has a thick layer of grime on it. But
Yeah,
that's just my 2 cents.
yeah, same here. I mean, like I guess if you have something rare, like you have a coin that they didn't mint a lot of, or it's a key date, or it's a Carson City Morgan from whatever year.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, don't clean it
Yeah.
then.
Don't clean those, folks. That's a good point because you
Yeah,
don't want to mess up that numismatic value of that coin.
yeah,
But
yeah.
if it's a
Do your
really
research
common,
on it.
yep, sorry.
Oh no, yeah, just yeah, do your research on it. Don't burnish something that is like legitimately a very like rare and collectible coin. But other than that, I think it's going to make it more liquid if it looks nice.
Yeah, I mean, and if it's really bad, I think it's something that people should consider. I would say if it seems like average amount of grime to a low amount, then I wouldn't worry about any of those. And to each their own, or don't mess with them. Especially if you're bringing them into a coin shop, and what happens when you bring these into a coin shop is they throw them all on a scale, and they're going to
Yeah.
assume that they're worn, and so they'll give you 0.715 ounces, spot price for a $1 face value, and that's not going to be the most efficient way to make money off of your constitutional silver if you're ever offloading it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Private sales are definitely, in general, even with, bullion coins, private sales are where you're gonna make the money. Usually, if you take numismatic stuff to a coin shop, like, yeah, it's easier. Um, but you're not gonna get nearly what you would in a private sale. In some cases, like, if I were to take, I don't know, some trying to think of an example, like some of the Perth Mint, this is 90% Perth Mint Lunar Series coins I have. I've sold some of those for like, a 1 ounce coin for like $100 or whatever in a
nice.
private sale.
Uh-huh.
And if I were to take that to a coin shop, they might give me, three over spot.
Right, exactly. That's an
So,
excellent, really good example.
mhm.
So yeah, keep that in mind, even outside of the constitutional silver, guys. So I know now which coins you like the most. What would you say, out of the constitutional silver, what would you say is the most common in your stack? Which of those coins?
Mercury dimes. Mercury
Okay,
dimes
great.
are the most common US coin that I have, period.
The mercury dimes are really good if there ever was a situation, because I know a lot of people talk about SHTF in regards to the 90% silver coins, because of how recognizable they are, and that they are fractional, and because the mercury dime is a very small fractional coin. You could get really specific if you wanted to get the most bang for your buck out of the value. As you could imagine, if you wanted to get a loaf of bread or something, you'd much rather hand over a mercury dime than hand them a 10-ounce bar and say, okay, well, can I get a whole bunch of loaves for this 10-ounce bar? I think the mercury dimes actually
Yeah.
would be pretty handy in a scenario like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think they're I should know this off the top of my head. I want to say they're like 2 grams or something like that. Or 2.25. So yeah, 2.25 grams in each one. I don't know if that's, I think that's assuming they're not worn. But yeah, so just a little, 2 grams or whatever in a recognizable coin, that I think if it were to come to any situation like that, that would be perfect. I know I've used them before, just uh whether I am like buying something with silver, like goods or services, because I have done that, or trading certain things, and it just, there's like, you know, $3 or so worth of value or whatever discrepancy. It's like, all right, well, throw in a dime, and it just makes it kind of easier. So even not necessarily in a bartering situation, but just with other people that know about silver, it's easy to just those small amounts.
Heck yeah, that's a great point. So, outside of the constitutional silver, is there any other U.S. coins that you stack, like maybe the silver eagles or the 40% half dollars? It sounds like you do have some war nickels.
Yeah, I have a decent amount of war nickels. I'm trying to think. I might have some 40% half dollars. I can't remember if I didn't have very many of them. and I did liquidate some, and I do literally have some silver buried. So it's either underground or I don't have any, but I can't really check right now. Uh, but as aside from 90% stuff, like the Mercury Dimes, the Franklins, Walking Liberties, uh, yeah, I do have 40% Eisenhower dollars. I like a lot, which are I mean, they're silver. You got to be kind of, those are kind of weird because some of them are silver and some aren't, even for the same years. Uh,
Yes.
those are kind of tricky, but I do like the silver ones, but they are more of a numismatic thing, which, I think in general, the value of these coins of 90%, I think they're going to become more and more numismatic over time, which is why I'm putting more, getting more of my stack into them, because I think 20 years down the line, 30 years down the line, the premiums on these are going to be pretty high.
I think you're right. Absolutely. And it's one of those things too, like the banksters, the paper markets kind of set the spot price, and I think at some point you really are going to see a decoupling of the spot price and the premiums, unless that market gets under control somehow. um
Mhm.
and I think in particular with the 90% silver coins, you're going to see a massive decoupling in what their let's say advertised spot price is and what you would actually be paying for these coins. And I also think this is going to end up being true in regards to the 40% silver Kennedy halves, 1965 to 1969. And a big reason for that is those coins, because people knew that it was kind of the end of the rope. A lot of them got pulled quickly, and they're all 40% silver, which kind of sets them aside from the Ikes, where it's a little confusing, which ones are silver and which ones aren't. But I do think the Ike silver dollars are very cool as well.
Oh yeah, I love how big they are.
Yes.
I I'm trying to think in my head. They might be either the same or a larger diameter than silver eagles. Maybe I'm overblowing that in my head. I would have to have them in my hand.
Yeah, you
But
know what? I would have to do a side by side also, but they're big chunky coins, and they're really cool.
yeah, and as far as the decoupling, like I think we're seeing that already to an extent, at least on the at least on the seller's side, or I should say on the dealer's side. As far as depending on what it is, yeah, they'll offer you spot for a lot of stuff. A lot of dealers will, or a couple bucks above spot, but then sell higher. And back in 2016 or whatever, premiums were not on everything. We're not even close to what they are now. And then when we had the whole silver squeeze was going hard, I was selling eagles for 9 over spot to a coin shop. So I think, like, we were kind of talking about, I think before the recording started, that if like double the amount of people started stacking, the system would just break.
Yes.
And,
Yep.
and yeah, it's kind of the same thing with these, where these are never going to be made again. Um,
Yeah, they haven't been making them for about 59 years at this point, you guys. And yeah,
yeah.
they're going to start to get scarce at some point.
And people still do melt them down. And as stacking hopefully continues to get more popular, I think these are going to be high premium items in the future. Is the long and short of what I'm trying to say.
I think you're right. And folks, I do encourage you to check out his stuff. Now, if somebody was interested in buying off of you, where would they go to do that?
I would say, yeah, the best place is to basically find my stuff at. There's the YouTube, which is GG Bullion on YouTube, Twitter, GG Bullion on Twitter. Uh, Now, the Instagram and Telegram group. The Telegram group is Telegram's a little weird. But if you go on Twitter and look at my Twitter banner, the link will be there for the Telegram group. I usually sell through either Twitter, Telegram, or Instagram. Instagram is at GG Bullion Official. And yeah, basically, I either do that through if you want to buy anything that I pour. Uh, I either do PayPal or you can write a check. And I think that's really all my social media stuff.
Okay,
I believe
great. Well,
I believe I went through, yeah, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and pretty much everything is GG Bullion except for Instagram is GG Bullion Official.
oh, okay. And you guys, if you check it out, he had some pours that I saw of Christmas trees, and I think those would be great gifts. So yeah, I encourage you to check it out.
Yeah, I'm gonna do my best to get some of those because those sell out immediately. I didn't think they were gonna go super fast, so I'm gonna do my best to get a pour of those before Christmas time. So
Yeah, these are some beautiful, chunky looking Christmas trees, guys. So that'd be great as a gift or even for your personal collection.
mhm.
Well, Gigi Bouillon, I really appreciate you joining me today. It was an honor to speak with you, and I do hope that we could do this again sometime.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on, and yeah, I would love to do that in the future.